Okay, go.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for Live from the Knitting Wars. I'm Deplorable Knitter. We have my fabulous co-host Ann Pinkova. We have Neil from Black Magazine as always, and we have two new guests this week. We have Holly from Mystery Mouse Fibers and Stephanie, Texas Peach Knits. So guys, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start with Holly, because she's right there next to me, and tell us a little bit about yourself for people who maybe don't follow you or haven't heard of you.
Well, I am a homeschooling mom. I have 5 kids. My husband is a Baptist pastor. And I started podcasting, I think, in October of 2021. And then I started my online yarn business in February of 2022. So I'm still pretty new at both podcasting and dyeing yarn, but I'm really enjoying it. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And how about you, Stephanie? Tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Stephanie. I've been knitting since probably 2002, and have always been very involved in the online knitting community, but I've never had any kind of store or dyeing business or anything. I'm just a person who likes to fangirl. And I started a podcast back in September. It was a 40th birthday present to myself to start a podcast. And it was mainly just because I really enjoy watching knitting podcasts, and I wanted to kind of add to what was out there of what people could watch when they were knitting. And I also homeschool. I have 4 kids, and my husband is a musician. So
very cool. So out of all of us, I'm like the least homeschooling mom that there is, because I only have 2. So.
Oh, I was about to say, so I was super excited for today's episode because I love both of your podcasts. I follow you guys all the time, but also it's like we have the trifecta here. We have Baptist, Lutheran, and Catholic homeschooling mom. So
nice.
The real winner.
Wow.
It covers all kinds of people, doesn't it?
It does.
And then we have Neil. Hey, when's your magazine coming out? What's up, man?
Well, it's all done. It's all ready, and it should be out this Friday.
Oh,
all
cool.
Going well. We've just had a few of the people who work behind the scenes have had other things going on. Like real life jobs and things like that. Yeah. So there's been a few delays. No big issue. No big problem or anything. So once that's all ironed out, it should be. The patrons have all got the preview at the moment. So some people will already have seen it with the errors, because there are quite a few errors in it, but we'll be getting rid of those. So yeah, Friday, fingers crossed, Friday.
Cool.
Excellent.
Very good.
And this is one with patterns, right? Because you kind of go back and forth between patterns and articles.
Normally, yes, but all of the patterns have, since we sort of went, since we did the draft, the first draft of everything, that's when the patterns started to come in. So they came in a little bit too late for this issue. So next issue, there's going to be a lot of patterns. Probably we might have to space it out a little bit because we've got probably too many for one issue. So I might stagger it a little bit, maybe.
Sorry, I just said that because I was excited. I saw your peacock pattern test come back, and it's so cool.
Really awesome.
I am so pleased with that. And the funny thing is, I've not knitted it myself yet. So I've designed it and I've got test knitters to knit it. And I've been waiting for some yarn to arrive that I wanted, because it was the right colours for the original dress, the peacock dress. And the yarn came about 2 weeks ago, but they sent the wrong one. And so I just sent them a nice message saying, look, you've sent me the wrong one. So they said, well, keep the ones you've got. And they've sent it out and it's just arrived today. So I can start knitting it now. So, because it feels a bit weird not knitting your own pattern. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, is that unethical? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like to send patterns out to testers without doing it myself. It makes me feel weird. Makes me all squeaky inside. So
somebody's saying, DK, that they can hardly hear you.
I don't know. It's the same setup
I can
as
hear
always. So I'm sorry, guys. You don't have to listen to me too long, though. We've got hideous sickness in our house today, so I'm going to bounce before too long. So you got that going for you. But hey, before I go, you can't tell. I'm trying out these needles. I got these needles with the flexies in the middle. I know I'm late to the party because people have had them for a long time, but I'm knitting a baby hat on them and I'm kind of liking it. It's a little awkward, but I think once it gets a little bit bigger, it'll be easier to work with. But I'm knitting a baby hat because of the April Showers Make Along, and use the code, the hashtag April Showers Make Along 23 to join in on Instagram, or send me pictures to my email if you're joining me. But yeah, don't forget, we're doing a make along. I got I cannot think of the name right now, but I have somebody sending bags for a prize. She's a Canadian seamstress, and she's sending a little goodie bag. She was hoping it would get here in time. And Neil offered a $25 gift certificate to anybody that's in the magazine, or
well,
Chicken
anybody. I think. Well, if they whenever they win, if we can chat to them about that and see which one, because there's a few that we could offer. Yeah, that was North Star, by the way, the one that's trying to sit on my head. I'm having to be really careful because normally it doesn't matter, but now there's a big red button that nobody dare press, or else everything goes off.
North Star is going to press it.
Yeah, if everything goes wrong, we get cut off. It's because of North Star.
So,
yeah, I'm really excited about the knit along because I have so many people right now that are having babies amongst my family and friends group. So I'm trying to knit all the baby things. So
that's awesome. It's a serious
baby boom.
Yeah, that's awesome. But it's the second week and I hadn't started anything for my own knit along. And I'm like, that's kind of lame. Like, get on it. Okay. So, what are you making right now, Stephanie?
Oh, I'm just working on my sock because that's the easiest thing to not think about. But just a sock.
And Hallie, you got some ribbon going on. You're gonna make
I'm making my my little boy a vest. I want to make him a Batman vest because he loves the old Batman show with Adam West. And so I'm just gonna make him like a plain vest and put the Batman logo on it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Cool. So, what you got?
What are you knitting, DK?
It's just baby hat. It's this big.
That could be anything at this point, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's really nothing yet. Give me a few minutes.
I do that all the time. Look, it's a sweater. It's this much.
Yeah,
I feel really
it's 2 rows of ribbon. But
be impressed.
How was your shawl, Anne? You wore it on Easter. Was it fabulous and beautiful?
Yeah. Where's it? Am I sitting on it? I was sitting on it.
That's okay.
One moment. I have like piles of finished objects because I have I have my Lent shawl. Let me lean back a little bit. Which way's front? This way's front. Okay. So yeah. It is quite big. And then I got it wet and it grew. So
yeah, I think that's how that works, isn't it?
It is. But still, I am always surprised. But yeah, it is. It's beautiful. It's drapey. Cool. It's, even though I was a little concerned about that whole fingering weight yarn and size 5 needles, I think it turned out pretty nice for all of that. And, the colors and everything.
Good.
Which is size 5 now in millimeters? What's that?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
I think it's 3.5.
And that was 40 10-gram minis, right?
It wasn't 40 because it was for every day of the week except for Sunday. That Sunday was a catch-up day.
Oh, okay. So it was almost 40, though. It was
Right.
like 35 or something. I was just wondering how much yarn you had left over.
Oh, Oh, I actually brought that because I put it all in a jar.
Oh, nice.
And some of these are just like, the bits and pieces ends that I should
Mhm.
probably throw away, but I didn't. I just put them all in the jar. But yeah, and I know like a couple of rows, I did run out of yarn, but those were the ones at the beginning where it was the wrap and turn, and I was doing too many stitches. I had miscounted at some point, and I just kept with it. But yeah, I mean, yes, there's all these like little tiny bits of yarn. Just various.
Perfect for some baby nets.
That is
Yeah.
true. But yeah, I have all the colors.
So was it sock yarn with nylon, or was it just 100% wool?
I think there was some nylon in it.
Okay. So you could make some scrappy something.
That's true. I could make scrappy socks.
Baby
also
socks. Welcome baby socks.
like baby Anne.
Make a baby thing, Anne. We're doing a baby knit. I'm doing a baby knit along. You should join me.
Right. Make it.
Do it.
If you have no one to send it to, you can send it to one of my friends.
Oh, now you're soliciting donations for all
You're like,
your.
come on,
Yeah, please help me.
please, somebody. I remember when you had your little episode about the beginning of the year, you're like, yeah, I'm doing the Make 9 thing, and there's all of these baby sweaters.
Yes. So, and I think when I started that, I didn't know 9 babies being born, but now I do. So it's all
9.
Wow.
9.
Wow.
That is
well,
a lot.
actually 10.
Oh,
10 now.
Wow.
Did they all go to the same party, the parents? Is that what happened?
Most of them are Catholic families, so they're like not first babies. So, but I love it. It's awesome.
Oh, that is cool.
that's an exciting thing. Oh, so Holly, I am very, very excited. Have you got farther on your Beauty and the Beast sweater? Because you do a lot of really cool color work.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm excited.
Well, I did. I finished the bottom ribbing, and so I just have to do the sleeves. I hate doing the sleeves. I'm really dreading the sleeves, but but I actually wore it. I wore it like under a long sleeve shirt or something, and and I'm going to the Interweave Yarn Fest Marketplace on Friday, and I think I'm going to wear it. So, yeah, but I know I have to finish it. I'm kind of thankful that I have my podcast to like push me a little bit, because otherwise I think it would just stay short sleeve sweater for a long time.
You could be like me and Anne and just not show any knitting on your knitting podcast. I mean, it is a thing we do.
And me, I do the same. I don't.
Yeah, but we're specifically, talking about other things. If your knitting podcast is knitting focused, then I suppose you really have got to work on the stuff.
Yeah.
Are you going to do them 2 at a time sleeves or just 1 at a time? Because I think color work too, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think I'm gonna do like them in sections. So I have to put the teapot, because it's underneath the split. So I think I'll do the teapot section on both of the sleeves, and then do the next section of both of the sleeves, and then do both the cuffs, because I think that'll help me. Otherwise I will forget, because I'm not doing it to pattern really. I'll forget what I did, and they will match.
Right. I actually ended up picking up that Disney knitting book because like it is
there's a lot of good
book.
stuff in there. Yeah.
But yeah, flipping through it here. Let me see if I can find it, because I'm like, yeah, this sweater. I'm like, it's different from Holly's. Yes, because she changed it a lot.
I did.
But it is a very cool sweater.
It is very cool.
Hold on, Anne. I'm gonna make you all by yourself.
I'm all by myself.
Oh, cool.
So it's mine is all the same up through the clock face,
Mhm.
and then I added the body to
Right.
coswork.
That you added more body here. Let me.
And then my Mrs. Potts is bigger.
Right.
That's cool.
I couldn't figure out how to make you not be the only one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, but you let's see, you add like little gold fleur-de-lis around it too.
Yeah, underneath. I didn't do that rose on the bottom. I just stopped. There was enough.
Right. Well, I
And
mean,
you're gonna have to. We're gonna have to have a private meeting where you flip through that book and show me all the things in it. Because now I want to know.
it is a very, very cool book. What's her face? So Tanis Gray. She's the one. She did the Harry Potter book. Then she did the sort of flim flam, like, oh, so sorry for J.K. Rowling thing. So yes, she's one of those people. But and also in her Star Wars books, she says, "Go buy Lola Bean." So this is not lost on me. And yes, I bought it used. But she does
Good for
do
you.
some incredible color work, and she's coming out with like a Nightmare Before Christmas one and a Lord of the Rings one.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited for the Lord of the Rings one.
yeah, she has this one sweater on the front. I don't know if you remember it, but it's like an elven armor sweater.
Yes.
And yes, and there's like these sort of woven sideways swoops down the front. I have no idea how it's done, and I
Do you want me
want
to try and
so bad.
find it? What's she called again?
Tanis Gray.
Tanis Gray.
On her Instagram.
And it's grey.
Tanis Gray. So it's TANISGRAY.
And what's that sweater called? Do you know?
The only picture she has is of the cover of the Lord of the Rings book.
Ah, Lord of the Rings. Okay.
So she promotes Lola Bean yarn.
Yes, she does.
Well, then I'll have to look for secondhand books also. Neil and I were gonna actually do a show last week about that, but it didn't work out. Right, Neil?
Sorry, say that again.
I knew you weren't
I was
listening.
busy doing. Is this the thing?
Yes.
Yes,
So which one was you saying? Is it the one in the bottom right hand side here?
it is. Yes.
Ah, $31.49.
Yeah, they're not cheap books, but they're thick, and it's lots and lots of wild stuff. Like here, as someone who likes wacky color work, like this one. Like, okay, I don't particularly want a Lion King sweater, but looking at this, I want a Lion King sweater. It is
wrong
so
one.
cool.
Sorry. How do I make
Like-
you big?
There we go.
You click on her, and then you do solo layout.
But yeah, isn't that awesome?
That is pretty cool.
Which one's that from?
Lion King. That you-
Cool.
elephants and giraffes and lions.
Well, and that's the Disney book, right?
Yes, this is the Disney book.
Okay.
Emily says, wait until it's on thrift books. That's exactly what I do with my stuff. Like, oh, I don't want to buy it directly from the people. I will just find it secondhand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, and for everything that Disney is, I'm like, yeah, but I'm looking at this Mulan cowl. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool though. Or
This whole episode's just gonna be Anne showing us pictures out of her new book.
okay, one more. Oh, I got it in the mail this week. I'm very excited.
No, it is exciting. I'm just teasing you, Anne.
Oh, it's not a close up, but this here, I'll close up myself. See that? But they're little
It's the little fairies.
from Sleeping Beauty, and those are my favorite.
Oh, how cool.
Those are cute.
Sorry, I love Sleeping Beauty. That was like one of my absolute favorites as a kid. It was awesome. There was a dragon. The prince was worth a darn. I was very excited.
Oh yeah, he's the best prince for sure.
Yeah, my favorite was always Beauty and the Beast, and I didn't like him once he turned into a dude. I thought he was weird looking. So
He's very French.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved Beauty and the Beast too, and I think that was the one that my parents, as like a Christmas present, got me tickets to the Broadway. Not on Broadway, but in the theater where we were.
Right.
But my kids never liked it. Like they never wanted to watch it. They never enjoyed it with me. I don't know what it was, but a lot of the things that I enjoyed as a kid, my kids are just, they don't care.
Yeah. Well, they have so many choices. It's a little overwhelming.
They do.
We had one Disney movie every year or two. That was
Yes. It's true.
Yep. My kids like it, but I think it's just because I have said no, it's my turn to pick.
Mhm.
You may not pick this time. We are watching this one. They like it by default. And I think there's a little something that they know that like I really liked it, so they like humor me at the very least. They're like, all right, she's, sad and old. We'll give it to her.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that, okay, so I this past week I went to go see the new Mario movie, and actually showed up late to the theater, and it was kind of funny because so I went with my brother, and it was a group of adults, and we sat down, and there was a family with kids behind us. Most of the theater were parents with kids, and they actually got up and moved like we were going to be troublemakers or something, like, oh, I don't want to ruin this beautiful experience for my child. Like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And they have no idea that it's Anne, who is like the least troublemaker of all. She's as dorky as everyone else sitting there waiting for Mario.
Well, actually, as my sister-in-law will say, that my brother and I are great separately, but it's sometimes we're embarrassing to be in public with when we're together. So, anyways, we can be a little more raucous than you'd expect. But no, I thought it was a fun movie, but it was one of those movies where it's like, okay, the more that you know about the games, the more, you can enjoy it. There was a lot of references, a lot of things. There was a lot of shots where it's like, look at this beautiful land of wonder, and the wonder doesn't quite hit if you don't know anything about the games. But I know it was done by the same studio as Minions, so watching it was very much like, yeah, if I had small kids and this was their movie, I wouldn't totally hate it. And I think that's as good as most animated movies are. That I was definitely the kid where it's like, no, I'm going to watch this again and again and again and again. And if that movie is annoying, then like, yeah, no way. You can't do it after a while.
Yep. My kids love Mario. They've been trying to get me to play Mario 3D. And I liked Mario when he was that flat guy that ran across the screen like this. Now they're 3D, and it's like your perception changes, and you're like going in circles. It makes me sick. I'm like, I can't play this game with you. I'm gonna throw up. This is not my idea of a good time. But
so I believe that we did have something to say about Lola Bean.
Oh,
yeah, Neil, that's what I was saying when you weren't listening to Neil. That you and I had a date to talk about it, but somebody canceled on me.
I did. Yes, I wasn't very well, so apologies for that.
I suppose I'll give it to you. Hey, maybe you passed it on to my family.
Yeah, through the screen. Yeah. It reminds me of my gran when she first got a telephone. The old-fashioned telephones, the old ones. She was talking to a friend who had her telephone, and one of them had a cold. And I don't know which one of them it was, but they put the phone down so that the other one wouldn't catch it. It's like, oh, it's quite sweet. Oh, well, Lola Bean, where do we start with that one?
Well, maybe everybody doesn't know what's going on. So, a week and a half ago, they started up a fundraiser, GoFundMe, goal of $60,000.
Yeah.
Made it within like 4 days, which, I guess that's cool. Her community is supporting her, but then they upped it to 100,000, and it's just really strange. And
that's the thing that
yeah.
I think is dodgy, because it's like most people, if you exceed your GoFundMe target, you just leave it to carry on.
Well, now they're saying
you don't have to up it.
Yeah. Well, now they're saying that she didn't ask for what she really wanted because she thought it was too much to ask for. And that's why they upped it. I think.
Sorry, I was about to say, so not for nothing, but I like to follow the Geeks and Gamers channels, and they have a lot of like crowdfundings. Like they're putting out comic books, like Isom and the Rippaverse, and there's Shad who just put out a new comic book, Shadow of the Conquerors. There's Jay who did the Achromatic Chronicles. So they're putting out books, and they're putting out good content for people. When they do a crowdfunding thing and it's for a thing, like you actually get a product, this isn't just a random donation, that they'll often put it low. Like, I think Jay's book, he's like, $1,000 as my goal. And then once it goes over and above, they just let it go. And again, this is for a product. You know, if you're handing money to Adela, you're getting nothing in return. And not just because she's often late with her yarn. You know?
Right, that's the thing. And you know, people, there's just something strange about a business that is crowdfunding for their business. It's not for like, they've been doing the cause of the quarter, and they did like the Black and Missing Foundation. They did some, I think, mental health thing for Black people. Like last year, their causes of the quarter were things like that were like, we're going to help people in our community, we're going to raise money for these things. I don't remember what they all were, but this year the cause of the first quarter was Radical Threads magazine, which is a magazine that can't keep its doors open and it needs crowdfunding help. And then now the cause of the quarter is them, and it's just weird. Like, when you call it the cause of the quarter, it sounds like you're fundraising. It sounds like it's going to something, but honestly, this is not a cause of the quarter. You know, if Anna and I had a cause of the quarter and we're raising for St. Jude, that's going to the kids at St. Jude. That's a thing. It's not like, hey, let's crowdfund so we have more money. That's the part that really is odd to me. And it's so much money. I don't know.
And it's what she's planning to do with it that also is sort of concerning, because it's to put into property which she already owns. So the property is, they own 2 homes, and it's to expand the second home that they have. And it's like, the way they've framed it is that all of them are living in a 3-bedroom house, you know, and she's dyeing yarn. Well, that isn't true. They live in a 5-bedroom house, and she dyes yarn in a 3-bedroom house on her own. You know, that house is just for dyeing yarn. So it's kind of, I don't know, there's a little bit of underhandedness going on, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. And a lot
allegedly.
of people,
allegedly,
a lot of people who are pushing back on it, they're saying, if your business is not bringing in the money to make the changes you want organically, then how are you going to sustain it? Like, if you want to bring in people to work for you and stuff, it's not enough money to actually pay people. But if you're not making enough income, then how are you going to sustain this in the future? Are you going to be constantly crowdfunding? I don't know. So it's just interesting.
Well, the really interesting thing for me, I used to work in small business accounting back in the day. And so she's getting the money just because people are generous, which is awesome. Like, it's awesome that people are generous. She's going to put it into her building, and she's going to do renovations in a workspace, which we can assume that is a write-off for her on taxes. So she's getting money as like a gift, putting it into a building that she will then write off as a business expense to pay less taxes on money that she hadn't earned. Like, I don't understand where all the pieces cross, you know?
Yeah, I spoke to somebody about it who was like, you know, that space is probably being depreciated, but how does that work out? And what's it going to do to the tax bracket and gift? Somebody told me, I have not done the research on my own, but somebody told me in Georgia, there's a 40% tax on gifts. Ooh. Like that much money. Wow. So
really?
I don't know if that's true or not. I was told that, just so I'm clear. But so, you know, like, if that's the case, then like half of her money is going to go to the state, and that all these people are just giving their money to Georgia, which is, the whole thing is bizarre. Whatever, it's them. But Nancy. Yeah, so it's just one of those things. Whatever.
I know it does definitely seem like there's some interesting accounting going on, and I don't even want to know the face of her accountant when looking at this afterwards. Like, what did you do?
Yeah, it does make you wonder. But hey,
yeah, the highest donation is $2,500, and
wow.
I just think all the good that they could actually do with that money, And if she was, claiming to be bankrupt, I would kind of understand it. It's like, okay, if one of our friends became bankrupt, we would probably want to help them. Well, I don't think we'd manage to get $67,000, but you might want to help them out. But the fact is, she's supposed to be really successful. So it's like, why do you need to help a successful business be even more successful? I don't get that when there are plenty of people who are really struggling to keep their heads above water in this sort of, indie dyeing industry. It's not an easy industry to be in, is it? Holly shaking her head.
I mean, the fact of the matter is probably every small business could use money. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. Very few of them are doing well enough to be like really prosperous and comfortable. But it's just weird that one of the ones that's kind of up at the top is like, I don't know. We'll keep watching it.
Well, one of the things that people have forgotten is that I remember watching one of her lives, and I think I've got it recorded somewhere. I'll have to look it up, where she said that her dream was to have a space where she could have bedrooms above so that Black people could come to her place and learn how to dye. And she would offer that to them for free, but people would have to pay for it, like sponsor them. So this is what she's planning to do with this, renovation. It's only for Black people.
By white guilt.
Yeah.
She's going to
no white people can go and learn. Yeah.
Well,
it's like, can you imagine if we applied? I might apply.
Are they being like indentured servants to her at that point? If
I don't think that's the intent, but it's hard to say.
Are they going to do the dyeing because she's going to be teaching them, and they're going to make sure all the products get out on time? I mean, I don't
maybe the daughter's on strike. Maybe that's what it's all about, because the daughter's been dyeing yarn, hasn't she? $50 a piece, apparently.
Yeah, because her daughter needs to earn a living wage at 6 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
And also, can I just say something? I was going to talk about this with you, Neil, but
you couldn't hold it in.
No. She got mad about somebody saying that she was using her daughter to pimp her yarn company. And she said they sexualize Black girls at a much younger age than they do white girls. And so, me being me, I went on the internet and I looked up the definition of pimping, which has a sexual connotation to it, but it also has the connotation of when you're pimping something, you are using it to promote and forward yourself. And so, like, what is this being purposely obtuse about stuff? Like, obviously the woman didn't say that you were putting her on the street corner. You're using her to sell your brand, which is also pimping. Don't play stupid. Y'all are using big words all the time. I know you know what it means.
Also, her daughter is her yarn label to begin with. So yes, there is a sort of promotional element with that. But also, it's not as if these are explicitly sexual, anything like that photos, but she does do a lot of really odd glamour shots with her daughter where her daughter doesn't look happy.
Her daughter had a bondage jacket on. What part of that is okay? I'm by sorry. Saying that you're pimping something. Okay, that you're saying it's sexualizing, but you're putting your daughter into clothing that is really grown-up clothing.
I thought was really disturbing she
had like a princess one, but it was like
oh no, she did a Missy Elliott one too, and the jacket had like those straps on it that are very goth. Maybe it's not bondage. I am not totally familiar with what happens there, but it's also not normal. So wow.
And the terrorist one was the one I thought was really bad. With the one where she sat in the wicker chair, because that's the Huey. I've forgotten his last name now off the top of my head, but he's a known terrorist and he murdered people and raped women. And
it's not Chavez, is it? It's that guy in the wicker chair.
It's not Chavez. He's called Huey. Oh,
yeah.
He's dead now, long dead.
Was he the one associated with the Black Panthers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Really, really nasty man, really nasty. And he killed other Black people, and raped Black women. He wasn't like he was, just doing it to white people. Yeah, I can't imagine wanting to dress. It's like me dressing my cat as Hitler.
Now you're getting into Count Dankula territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
But good luck to her. Good luck to her. She'll make as much money as she makes, and then I think everything will come crashing down. Yes, that's him. Huey Newton. That's Emily. The one. Yeah.
Yep. She already lied about money going to her daughter's teacher. Yeah, well.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well,
Allegedly.
Allegedly, we don't know for sure. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah. I was about to say, after that cheery topic, somebody mentioned in chat, Holly, that your advent calendar is out. Don't you like that coming? Hey, yes. You also have yarn.
Well, Holly is selling her product for money, as most businesses do. So good for you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the traditional way.
Mystery Mouse Yarn. I'll find the website.
It's Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. It's on Etsy.
Here we go. Shall we put it on the screen?
Absolutely, Neil. You know what? I'm going to keep you as my co-host because you're good at all this extra stuff.
As your indentured servant.
I don't think that's the thing.
So where shall we go for the Advent? Is this it here? The Advent calendar?
Yes.
Christy for Christmas. Should I click on that?
Sure.
Or... do you know what I love about Yarn Dyers? I love the way they do the photography. Is that showing on the screen or not? It's
still just the big picture.
Does it say Yarn Advent Calendar 2023 at the top?
Nope.
Or is it all of the pictures?
It's all the stuff.
For some reason it's not working. I know why. Oh. Right, okay. So much for being good at all this stuff. Yeah,
I am.
If it creates a new thing, it won't show it. Yeah, sorry, I won't be able to go into any of the items. I'll just have to show it from the main screen.
Okay.
Well, that's okay.
So I'll see if I can figure it out. What have I done now? Sorry about this, everybody.
So I know you're into the mystery, but why did you choose Agatha Christie? Is it because they're rewriting her books, or just because?
That's a good question. I just love Agatha Christie, and she's probably one of my very favorite authors. And I've been reading Agatha Christie since I was about 10 years old. So I wanted to do. Last year, I did my first Advent calendar was Sherlock Holmes. So I just wanted to do another.
And that's the shawl pattern right there, Neil.
The Victorian bookshelf.
Yes.
That's cool.
That was my pattern last year with my Advent calendar. So
cool.
Well, I just got my first Agatha Christie book.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's a collection of the short stories.
Nice.
So I'm enjoying that. It's good bedtime reading.
Oh, yeah. One thing that I love. Oh,
go on. Oh, no, I was just going to say, is it one of the Agatha Christie's that has been... Oops, did I do that? Sorry, I did that by mistake.
To be clear, Holly didn't lie about any cat.
Yeah, they're changing Agatha Christie books, aren't they? They're rewriting parts of them.
Yes, I know. It's terrible. It makes me really upset. So I know. They need to leave that stuff alone, and they can talk about it as a, this is where we've come from, or whatever they want to do, but they should not be doing that.
Right.
For sure.
But I was just going to say, one thing I love about Agatha Christie that nobody talks about is that I was able to read her when I was 10 years old because she doesn't really write as really deep in her time period. Like, she just writes the story. And you don't have to be like, okay, now I have to remember this is 1935. You just read the story. You don't have, and you can get it. And so I was able to get it when I was 10 years old, and I didn't have to know about history, and be really into the time period. So it's very accessible, I think.
Have you seen this?
Are you one of those?
Oh, wrong one. Is that? Oh, did you put that one on?
I didn't. You're doing it.
Oh,
Neil, I'm knitting. Look at my cat's ready
I'm blaming everyone else. That's the one I wanted to put on.
Oh yeah.
But are you one of those people who you always get it before the end of the murder mystery, or does it surprise you still when you get to the end?
Well, not with Agatha Christie, with a lot of other mysteries, yes, but I always feel like she knew how to lead you on and like how to know what you would be thinking, not just like this is what I want people to think, but like, and at this point, the reader will be thinking it's this person. So then I switch it around,
Right.
So she was very good at that.
That's cool.
I've never read any. I've watched a few of the TV adaptations, but I've never read any of them. But I do find it interesting that she had those, was it 3 days where she went missing herself and
Yeah.
nobody knows whatever happened to her during those days.
It is very interesting. I know. And she never talked about it either. So
there was a giant wasp alien. I saw it on Doctor Who. Come on.
Oh, is that how I know? Oh, I can't believe I'm so lowbrow that I got that from Doctor
Who. Her autobiography is also excellent. It's really interesting. So I recommend that if you are interested in Agatha Christie.
That's cool.
Mhm.
And I listen to tons of true crime, and I know I've heard the story about when she went missing, but I don't remember any specifics of it. I'm gonna have to look into that more. I've never read any either. My stepfather loves Poirot.
Oh, uh-huh.
He's one of hers, right? Like
Yep.
They watch all of the stuff, and he reads all the books, and I've never gotten into it personally.
Oh yeah. No, the Poirot show with David Suchet is excellent. It's excellent.
Yeah, I believe that's probably what he watches. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went through a stage in high school where I read just stacks and stacks of Agatha Christie, and I was watching Poirot and everything at the same time. I do have a tendency to hyperfocus, so
Yeah.
so yeah, it was just miles of, and I used to get them at book sales and everything too. And
I know. Yeah, most of my Agatha Christie's are used also. But she wrote from like the 19 teens through the 70s when she died. So she wrote, I think, over 65 novels.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there to get into.
I think it's amazing to think about authors who are so prolific. Like Ella Montgomery wrote so many books, and Agatha Christie, and I mean, there's plenty of others who wrote. It makes me feel like I'm wasting my life, like just a little bit. I haven't even written one book.
Oh, and not just the ability to, bam, I wrote a book, and then there are people who are interested in the book, but like Agatha Christie, where she has a formula. This is a murder mystery. You go to the country house. Someone's not making it out. But at the same time that she was able to keep it fresh enough. I mean, after a bit, you can be like, okay, this is a lot of people dead. But that she kind of, I don't know if she created the genre, but she definitely solidified it and, kept your interest through stacks and stacks of books.
Yeah.
And different protagonists, too, with Miss Marple. And
oh, yeah. I think she was really interested in people, what made them work and how they reacted to each other and different types of people. And that's one of the reasons it's so interesting, because you can kind of see those kind of people, in real life sometimes. And it's just interesting.
Do any of her characters cross over, like Marple and Poirot? Are they in the same universe, or is it like?
I don't think so.
Very separate.
I'm trying to remember. There might have. I'm trying to remember if there was an actual crossover book, or if there was like just a similar character who interacted with one of them. It's been such a long time. I don't know now.
She had a lot more characters, didn't she, as well? There's some lesser known ones, isn't there? Wasn't there a duo as well that she had? I don't know.
There are some. Right. Well, there's a couple, Tommy and Tuppence. And that was some of her earlier, and she brought them back later, like around World War II time. And that's one of my favorites is N or M. But if you read that, you should read her earlier stuff with them first. But so there are a couple that recurs. And then there's always a few that just have like a guy, and he's the main character, and he sort of is the amateur sleuth. And he's not a recurring character.
Right.
Now, I heard that part of the Advent is that you have to figure out what book.
Right. So I'm not saying which book it is, and each of the yarns are going to be named after something in the story. And so probably if you're a big fan, after a few days, you can figure it out. But
Now, I just have to say that, like, I am not a yarn advent buyer, and I
Mhm.
have a whole episode on my podcast about why I'm not, but the mystery of what book it is,
That's
you
driving you crazy already.
you're gonna get me.
Well, consider if you're like, no, not correct for Advent, you could be like January. You can hold on to it.
That's true.
Right, yeah. I'm just so poor.
I know.
It's, small problems. But it is fascinating. I love the concept. I think you're really genius doing it. It makes it really interesting and fun. So good
Thanks.
job.
That's very cool. Anne and I have been tossing around because last year we didn't do every single day of Advent. We tried, or not, right? No. Yeah, so we tried to do every single day, but it didn't totally work out. But we were talking about how fun it would be if we both picked another yarn dyer. So we're gonna have Chicken Lady because she's our fabulous sponsor. You can find her at chickenladyfiberarts.com. And then but we were both talking about maybe picking a different one so that there's a little bit more to talk about as we do daily episodes of yarn opening, because it's kind of hard to talk for 5 minutes about one skein of yarn. Like it gets a little bit difficult.
I ran into that with the Lent shawl because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be one of those people who posts about it and does the reveal. And then I'm sitting there like, yeah, nobody wants to hear about this every day. Not even I want to hear about this every day. And I'm the one knitting it. I have some interest.
Yeah. But we have to reconvene we have to go back to that conversation later, Anne, because
later on.
I don't know. Mystery Mouse sounds kind of cool. I don't know what you've got planned. Oh, and then there was that tweed one we were looking at. I don't remember who that was. There were there were a few.
A lot of people have a lot of very cool stuff. So.
I know, it makes it hard.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I know a lot of dyers are getting them out really early in the year, and I know you are too, and that it's like how decorations for holidays come in sooner and sooner. It's like, yes, the snow is finally melting and it's time to order your Christmas advent calendar.
I know. Well, it's hard because a lot of people will only get one advent calendar. So if you wait too long, then they've already bought their advent calendar and it's too late. So it's tough.
Oh, Murder Knit says she's got it. Cool. Yeah, it is hard though, and you're right. The only reason if Anne and I weren't doing our show, I've never had an advent until last year when we got Chicken Ladies, and then but if we weren't doing an episode every day, I probably wouldn't have even said, hey, I think we should buy more, because I still haven't even touched mine from the first one. So
I'm always put off because a lot of them have lip balms in and, stuff that I'm just not going to use, I mean, I can give them away, couldn't I? But it's like, I just want the yarn, and I don't know how many advent calendars are just yarn.
I think they usually have trinkets like stitch markers and things you're going to use. Yeah,
but I'm not really that into them. I just think,
That's it.
Neil needs a special manly one with like a wrench on a stitch marker that's like a little wrench and
all the other things are the Princess Bride of yarn dyeing, aren't they?
I feel a blocked advent calendar coming on.
Yes. Yeah, just black and grey, no other colours.
Now I'm thinking of like quote dad gifts where it's like soap on a rope and an ugly top.
Yes.
One of those universal tools.
Bottle of cologne.
Yeah, but my husband has like 7 of those things that have like all of their pair of pliers, but then they've got all the Swiss Army knife tools that come out of it.
Oh, the multi-tool. Yeah, they do so many things.
Yeah.
Now that'd be cool in a yarn box. Absolutely.
You never know when you're going to need, to have that multi-tool.
Although I bet in this country we won't be allowed to have them. If there's a knife on it, it would probably be, an an arrestable offence.
Oh, jeez. Why not?
Oh, murdering it. Tabitha's just said she's going to send me a load of lip balm. For the cats. The cats will just have it.
I don't know if that's yeah.
Oh, who've we lost? We've
Holly.
lost.
Oh. What happened?
That wasn't me.
I didn't do anything, Neil.
I didn't.
Neil kicked you out. It was not.
I didn't. It wasn't me.
Like, that's it.
No, I think it was my iPad. My iPad died for a second. I don't know why. It just restarted. Yeah.
Phew, off the hook.
In the comments they say, oh, here, somebody says you need
Ah,
beard oil.
yes.
And then Knitty McPurley's advents have just been yarn and patterns. I haven't had one, so I don't know.
Well, I've just recently bought her set of minis, you know, the 13 minis.
Oh,
and they're
nice.
Really nice. Really nice. And there's a really dark blue that I think I'm going to have to try and get. Because dark blue's a funny color, I think. It's kind of I don't like royal blue. I like every other shade of blue apart from royal blue. And dark blues tend to be down that road for me. So whereas this is like a very dark grey blue, you know, is that like a midnight blue? Is that what you'd call that? I don't know. No, they're really nice, really, really nice. But then most people's yarns are nice, aren't they? Let's be honest. They're nearly all nice, aren't they?
I've gotten some of Knitty McPurley's yarn. I did a design with it. It was my heart pattern that I put out a couple of years ago. It's all done in her yarn. It was really pretty.
And Holly and I happened to meet at her retreat, so
That's right.
That's cool.
So did you not plan anything? Did you not plan anything between you?
No.
Bought some of her yarn. It's beautiful.
I keep dropping my needle.
No, there was terrible lack of conspiring.
Sometimes you don't need to conspire. You just want to, relax. Whatever. Guys, as much fun as it's been, my kid's been sick, and I'm gonna head off to see what's up with them. So thanks, people in the comments. Thanks, Holly and Stephanie, for coming, and have fun. I'll see y'all later.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Fun.
Watch it all go off now.
Don't do it. Okay.
Yay, we're still here.
Now we're all a little closer.
Oh, snug. So I wanted to ask, because Holly, I've completely missed that you have a podcast. I didn't know. So I'm going to have to log on later. And how long have you been doing it? Have you got many episodes?
I think I'm on episode 19 or so. So I was only podcasting about once a month last year, but this year I've been doing every 2 weeks. And so far it's been okay. So.
And are you mostly showing the yarn that you've dyed, or is it knitting general and everything?
It's everything, because I started before I became a yarn dyer. So, and I didn't want it just to be like a big commercial for my yarn. So I do knit with plenty of other people's yarns and stuff.
Yeah,
and Stephanie, I've seen yours, because it's funny because when you see someone for the first time that you've seen on on your TV, because I watch YouTube through the TV, it's like you're seeing somebody who's famous, isn't it? So, so it's a bit like, wow, I know her,
I feel the same way about you, Neil.
I bet you've never even seen any of mine.
Oh no, I escape from my children a lot. So I watch a lot of YouTube and quiet corners away from the masses of children that need things.
And what episode are you up to now? Because you've been doing it not quite as long, have you? Is it?
No, and I'm really only doing one a month. So I think I've done 7 plus a couple of extra ones. It's very tempting to do more, because I have to say I love the attention that you get when you put a new one out. You get lots of new views and new people, new subscribers, and people like your stuff on Instagram, and that's all the feel goods, right? And it's hard not to like that. So I I was like, oh, I should put out more, but honestly, there's just no time, and I would be taking away from my family, and at some point,
just get rid of them. They're just in the way.
well, they keep making me sick too, so it's even more reason.
Rotten kids.
So, but it has been really fun. I do really enjoy watching podcasts because I love that community aspect of knitting. When I was working, I would go visit a little local yarn shop during my lunch break. And there was this little group of elderly ladies that were always there at lunchtime. And I would just sit with them and they would all show me what they were working on. I love seeing what people are working on and what they're doing. And it just makes it feel like so special and community-like. And so I love to watch all the podcasts. So,
and it's quite cool how every one of us does a different type. Well, I can't speak about Holly's because I haven't seen it yet, but I will. But I can guarantee we're all different, aren't we? There's none of us are doing the same thing, which is kind of nice.
Nice, yeah.
So, and Anne, how many are you on now? You're an old hat at this game, aren't you? You're
learning more all the time. I think we're not counting Knitting Wars because that's its own thing, but I think we just did 146.
Wow. So how many years have you been doing it now? Is it 2 years?
Yeah, as of June, I think. Is it? No, it could be. Is it 3? Are we coming up on 3 now? I think we are.
I've just got a message from BS. So the announcement to make. I'm assuming that means that the magazine's ready. Woo! Thank you, BS. BS is the graphic designer. She does all the fancy stuff, the layouts and everything.
So, Anne, did you and DK start during the pandemic, or was it before?
We did. It was during the pandemic.
Okay.
So yeah, we started the first week of June in 2020 while there were still streets on fire. Yeah. So during the summer of love.
Yeah. Mostly peaceful summer of love.
Mostly peaceful summer.
Right.
So yeah, which is a pretty interesting thing where there's actual violence in the country, and it's like, if you say things online, people might get actually angry at you. Want to start our political knitting podcast? Sure. Let's go.
Yeah, I remember when you started, and it was so reassuring to realize that not everyone had gone completely insane. So, and June, I think, of 2020 was when I really stopped using like the knitting Ravelry, Mm-hmm. And so I was looking elsewhere for knitting content.
Right.
And so I think that's when I found you guys. So it was good timing. Great job.
Well, I mean, it was a whole year past when they had the initial Trump ban on Ravelry. But I think, so many of us were so shocked by that. Generally people knew that Ravelry was pretty liberal to begin with. But it was definitely a shock to the system when it happened. So, it took us a little bit to be like, okay, so what are we going to do about it? And, that there was a kind of a community growing on Instagram, but it hadn't really gotten beyond that. Mm-hmm. At that time. So yeah, it was interesting. It's good. Yeah. I'm glad we did it.
And I think the Trump thing for me, it made me like, I don't really want to buy things from them. I don't really want to make content for them. I don't want to share my photos and get clicks for them. Mm-hmm. But I think in June there was like a cover page. Do you remember the art cover page that month? Like they had an artist in June of 2020. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, they had, I remember that.
It was like an independent artist that they had make a new cover front page for the website just for June. And that was when I decided I can't refer people to this website. If I'm teaching knitting to teenagers, I can't tell them to go check out this website for patterns because the front page was so offensive.
Yeah, it was very graphic, I think.
It was
what was graphic. It? What was the front? I missed this.
I believe that's the one where it was trying to remember how it was set up. It was like a screen and there was lots of people on it, but there was, you know, well, it wasn't just like, oh, this is a gay couple. It's, wow, this is a guy with a dog mask. And there was like a litter of on the desk that, you know,
oh, I'm just reading in the comments. I can see what was in there. Yes.
There was some
wow,
like, rather shocking things just scattered on this desk. And it's like, this is a primarily knitting website. This isn't you know, whatever, you know, sexual thing you're into website. It's not. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So
and anyways, that's what did it in for me. It wasn't necessarily like the Trump thing I thought was wrong, but they were a company, they could do what they wanted, right? Mm-hmm. But once it got to that, I'm like, I can't even refer people here because I don't know what they're going to see when they get there and how that's going to reflect on me. And that I sent their 13-year-old child there to find a pattern.
Right. Like, go to this nice knitting website and pick out a scarf you like. Actually, don't.
No, don't. Please don't. So, and it was just like so over the top. It wasn't subtle. Let's put it that way.
Right.
How much of that do you think was, and I still don't know the name to use, whether it's Casey or Cassidy? Because one to me is a male name and the other one's a female name, but I think it's the opposite way round, isn't it? But how much of that do you think was Cassidy doing that, or?
I have no idea. Like, I feel like they were just reaching out to independent artists, and maybe they got a few mock-ups and somebody just picked the one they liked and didn't really realize like they liked it, right? So they put it up.
I don't know.
I just don't understand. It's like, I mean, I could do whatever I wanted with, say, my magazine, but I would never put, you know, sex toys on the cover. You know, I just don't see why that I would ever want to do that with knitting. You know, I don't understand the relevance of it to knitting.
Well, I think it's just their platform, and you know, that's what, you know, it's whatever's in your heart is going to come out, and that's what happened. So,
God.
Yeah. And Neil, I did at one time unfollow you as well.
What did I do?
I think I just like I curate my feed so much because I really like sunshine and roses.
Oh, you don't get that with me.
and I think I started following you, and I follow you again now because I've gotten to know you better. But
if you want sunshine, follow Your Cats Are Ugly. All Your Cats Are Ugly, because that's just cats.
Sorry. I think I do. Yeah, but so I think that everybody, it's their prerogative to like cultivate their own.
Of course, yeah.
Feed. You don't have to just like tell the whole world what offends you, but it is your prerogative to stop using things or stop buying from people. But I'm not going to go out and like advertise or like picket line people. You know, does that make sense? But I think it's our, you know, as human beings, we have choices. We can follow who we wish to follow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, that it's like, okay, what we do on Politically Incorrect Knitters, you know, it's like, okay, so a lot of people are like, well, does knitting have to be political? It's like, okay, yes, I get it. But they made it political. And also I think these are stories worth talking about, even though it's like, okay, like you guys, like your podcasts aren't, you know, anything political. You're just nice and knitting in books, and Holly did vintage patterns and that was awesome. But stuff like that is like, okay, just nice kind of your life thing. You know, no, it doesn't always have to be political, but it's like, well, if you don't bring it up, these stories just fade away. And there are people hurt by a lot of these stories. Like there were people hurt by the Ravelry thing. You know, Devin of Nitty McPurley, because of the Ravelry thing, she was ostracized and people didn't want to work with her anymore. You know, that, yes, we talk about Adela a lot, but she's actually, you know, suggested violence towards people. And now she's doing odd things, fundraising, you know, for wacky causes. So that and then if you look on the other side of the knitting, knidosphere, the more leftist side, you have, that Michelle Obama and Greta Thunberg are doing knitting tours whenever their books come out. It's like, this is on the liberal side, this is important. Even, annoying Dylan Mulvaney. I saw a picture of him in a knit dress the other day, a knit dress that if I had knitted, I would be like, yeah, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. I'm not going to.
He's not a knitter, though, is he? Please tell me he's not a knitter.
I don't think so.
As far as I know, no.
Not yet.
Yeah, but he was in a knit dress, and I was like, okay, I would never have thought for any, quote, conservative celebrity person to be like, yeah, I'm going to knit you a dress. And I wouldn't expect them to be like, yeah, that knit dress is great for the cause. I wouldn't even think in those spheres. But other people do. It is an important thing.
Well, and I think to some extent, this is my own personal conspiracy theory, but I think to some extent, the knitting community was kind of like a case study. Like, what happens when we plug in these types of ideas where we're trying to divide people into subgroups and we're going to make them work against each other? And I really felt like when the Trump stuff happened, I was in no political Ravelry groups. Like, I wasn't in the bunker. I wasn't involved in any kind of like Republican. I mean, I think at the time I was still registered independent. So I think that, but what really bothered me was this idea that people were telling on each other. Like, people could report to Ravelry misuse of Ravelry, or people doing things that weren't supposed to be said on Ravelry. And I was in Catholic groups, and I was in pro-life groups, and I was in like mothers groups, and even the things like pro-life knit-alongs. I thought, who's going to report us for being political, for doing a pro-life knit-along? Like, this is something that could happen. Like, they could get into the group and kick everyone off of Ravelry. And the fact that the forums are totally open. It's not like Telegram or Facebook where you can have private groups that not everybody can be accepted into. Like, you could go and just read the forums of any group you wanted to. And so the idea that like at any point someone could call you out for something you didn't even know was considered wrong at the moment, like that's frightening, and that's not a healthy way to have a society. And all of my groups on Ravelry fell apart. All of my like moms with babies groups, like all the nice, friendly little groups, the people scattered because people were afraid of each other. Like, they didn't know who was going to be on which side and what was going to come up in the forum and who was going to be reported. And it ended up that like many of the people I knew, we stayed in touch through other places. Like, if we had already become Facebook friends, or if we already knew each other on Instagram, that's where everybody went to talk, because Ravelry just wasn't, even though we weren't doing anything, right. It felt so public, it wasn't a safe place to be anymore.
Right. And I find that too, that a lot of, banning of, quote, Trump people does end up banning a lot of Christians out of spaces, because it's not that, it's not the whole Trump is Jesus thing. That's not where I'm going with this, because a lot of that, he's not Jesus, and it's a little weird. But if you're pro-life, you're going to be towards a pro-life candidate. And that is something that is very important to a lot of Christians. So, very much, oh, well, no Trump support is allowed here, does end up, pushing back on Christians. And even the weird reports this week that FBI agents undercover in Catholic churches, and terms like based and Chad and, or something, that they're FBI watch list terms. I'm like, what about Mega Chad? Is that like the bump stock of assault words? Like, what, what's your level of watch list when it comes to what you say online? But it is I mean, and then this past weekend in Canada, how there were a couple of pastors arrested. Like, it's some pretty wild stuff.
What were they arrested for?
I don't even know now.
Just saying the wrong word, because Canada's crazy, isn't it? At the
Stupid
moment?
Canadian things. Just protesting in public, not liking Trudeau, you know, saying
Wow.
that whole thing with Native kids being buried wasn't actually a crime, that there was just sicknesses in the school. Anything like that could have got him. But anyways, sorry.
Well, I'm really thankful for your show, and because I don't want to have to talk about politics on my show. But I'm so thankful that somebody does, because, you know, it would seem like everybody was on the other side if it wasn't for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't want to get lumped in with that group. But, you know, I also want to just talk about knitting.
Well, that's wrong now, isn't it? That's what they say. If you say, I just want to talk about knitting, or let's just get back to knitting, suddenly you're evil for doing that. That means that you're racist and you're, you know, homophobic and you're this and you're that. And
I
it's
think
like,
that's privilege. It's privilege to not have to think about the other stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're literally dying if you don't talk about it on your knitting.
Yeah.
No, but I always think it's funny. I kind of laughed before the show, you know, that we did a quick, like, okay, guys, what do you want to talk about? And like I said before, you know, we have two guests who aren't necessarily political, and Stephanie's like, I have things I want to say. And I'm like, go.
No, and the thing is like, I'm not super political. Like, in my day-to-day life, people would meet me and they would not say, that's Stephanie. She's like the one driving around with Trump flags on the back of her pickup truck. You know, I know that guy, but I'm not him. No, this is Texas, right?
Right. We all got a little bit of that if you're in Texas, but
well, I will say that during COVID, it brought a smile to my face, because everybody would, when we had like the lockdown, people would go driving as like their fun thing to do. Like, let's just all get in our car. We're going to go for a drive. And there was this one guy, and I don't know who he is, but he had a giant pickup truck and he had Trump flags and don't mess with Texas flags all down the back of his truck. And he was just like zooming up and down the highway every day. Every day we would see him, and that was what he did. He's like, I'm just gonna drive around. And it was hilarious. It brought a smile to my face that like people still are independent thinkers, though you might think that he was brainwashed, because I've heard both. But
you can argue that about anybody, can't you? You could say that Biden voters are brainwashed, and
right. I mean, you could say that it could go either way. I mean, if you don't agree with me, I can say it's because you're ignorant, or because you haven't read the right books, or because you're brainwashed. You know, there's all these things you could say just because someone didn't agree with you. And ultimately, I think the most important thing is to have communities, to really know people, to really be willing to help the people around you. And I guess for better or for worse, we've had a lot of like ice storms here in North Texas, where like our whole town's power goes off for 3 days. Like, that's super fun to be in 4 degrees with no power in Texas, where homes are not insulated and most people do not have fireplaces. So, I mean, that's very community building. And I think it's important that all of us know people and have real people in our lives. You know, the isolation of the internet and just like yelling at people across the airways, that's really not going to get you anything when the power's out. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know the geography of America very well, but would you say that the most dangerous places, as in the weather, because you have some quite extreme weather in different parts, don't you? Are they the most sort of conservative areas, and are the safest places the more liberal areas, would you say?
That's a really good question. We have I live in Colorado, right near the middle in the west. And we have some really extreme weather sometimes. We don't have, obviously, we're landlocked. We don't have any ocean weather, but we have very cold weather sometimes and big snows and maybe tornadoes. But we have a very, very liberal state. All right. We have a very liberal state right now. So,
So
I don't know.
that doesn't work then, does it? My
I
theory
was
isn't
say
true.
the state of California, they have earthquakes.
Yeah, they have all the weather.
Ah, yeah.
It's still crazy.
So there's no rhyme or reason.
I think it's population. A
Yeah.
lot of it is the more liberal you are, the bigger your population is, in the cities at least. Because
Yes,
Colorado, yeah, because Colorado, we only have a few big cities right along the front range of the Rocky Mountains. But those big cities are so liberal that they drown out the rest of the state where all the farmers are and, you know, all the more conservative people.
Do you know about the mouse utopia?
Ooh, no.
You've just reminded me of something. Yeah, an experiment years ago, which has been replicated, so they've pretty much agreed on the results of this, is that if you give mice a paradise to live in and let them breed and breed and breed, eventually what happens is the society breaks down. And what happens is they stop having sex to have babies. They don't have sex anymore, but they have sex with each other for whatever reason, but they don't have babies from it. And there's always a group of what they called the beautiful ones. And all they want to do is sit and groom themselves all day. And eventually they start to kill each other. Wow. And so the theory is the more you overpopulate an area, the more you get people not procreating, not helping other people, being obsessed with themselves, and in the end, destroying each other. And
well, it kind of goes to show, it sounds like it goes to show the importance of meaningful work, you know, as far as having a good society where people are doing things that matter and supporting their families, and they have needs they have to meet and stuff like that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because it's like real problems, isn't it?
Right.
Real problems create very, is based the right word? I don't know, very practical people. Whereas if you've got no problem at all, that's when you start inventing pronouns.
Right. You start creating, you start creating issues for yourself so that you can feel like you have to overcome something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there must be something in us that we have to have a problem, to cope with life.
Yeah.
We need a war. No, we don't. I've said that before. We don't.
Sorry. Just thinking before about how, some memes are flagged as, leaning towards extremist content. Sorry, I saw one the other day with a quote, Chad sitting there like, yes, my biological clock is ticking. I must die in a war in Europe soon. This hasn't been one in a while.
Oh, before I forget, we need to do our timed knit. Are you ready yet or not?
I'm ready, but hold on. Let me get. Hold on. I'll be ready in a second.
So I'll share why I overthought this whole process. So I knew we were going to do the time knitting, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start a new project so that I have something that I can just knit stockinette or garter on, right? Mm-hmm. And then so I grabbed some needles. And I hadn't used those needles before, and the cord was like sticky, like it was more like rubber than smooth. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It was like a rubber content. And I thought, oh, this is going to be terrible. It's going to slow me down. I can't move my stitches fast enough. I won't be able to. So then I had to move my project to a different needle. And I was like, which needle has the smoothest cord? And I'm trying to do all the right things to be able to knit as fast as possible. Really
so you're knitting with silk on steel needles, aren't you? That's what you do.
And then I thought, well, if I have worsted weight yarn, is that going to be slower than, say, fingering weight yarn? And like, does it matter about how many stitches should I have to have a lot of stitches so I don't have to turn and go back, or or like. So thank you for letting me overthink this process.
Top tip that I didn't do, but make sure you bunch all your stitches up near the needle so you don't have to move any along.
And I'm like, I'm not competitive. I really don't want to win anything other than board games. I will get competitive until I know I'm losing, and then I'm not competitive at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Tabitha's watching very closely. I think Tabitha gets really worried when we do these. I think she has a moment, where a crown is going to come off.
I will not beat you. Don't worry. I'm not.
I don't think I will either. So I throw, so it's like this big whoosh.
Yeah. Tabitha.
It's unusual for Americans to throw, though, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I taught myself how to knit, so who knows?
And are you a plucker, Stephanie?
I'm not exactly sure what that is. I crocheted first, so I think I'm a continental knitter because I hold my yarn in my left hand. But
I call that plucking because you kind of pluck the yarn. Yeah,
I think that's what I do, and I basically taught myself from a book. So
well, one thing I've learned about this that through doing these, being part of these races and things, and with Tabitha as well, is Tabitha is what I would call a plucker, and so she's continental knitter, but her gauge is so loose compared to mine. Mine is really tight. So my guess is that Holly is a really tight gauge knitter, and Stephanie's going to be a looser gauge knitter. Whether that's right, I don't know.
I am a loose knitter.
Yeah, so there's something about having it in your right hand that you must pull it.
I think you just are able to tension it better because you're holding it. So
yeah.
I don't tension at all. I just good luck.
Wow. Maybe we need to add an extra bit to this, like when you have to see the knitting and then judge it as well. Like how neat it is. Oh, Tabitha, I'm just going to share this. Tabitha's just put she's a loose lady. So let me know when you're ready. Okay. Do you need a bit longer?
I'm ready.
You need to psych yourself up. Don't over.
Okay, I'll let you get prepared. I'll do a 5-second countdown before we start.
Okay.
So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
And now it's Neil and I's job to talk
about we've got nothing to say now, have we? What can we talk about?
I don't know.
So you're a continental knitter, aren't you, Anne?
I am, yes.
Yeah, because so I wonder, we need to have that written on the leaderboard as well to see if all of the top ones are continental. Probably.
I mean, since we're kind of based on the Top Gear lap, does that count as wet? When the ground is wet, so they get points first.
Yeah, I think we need to break the into like league tables, so that the slower knitters like me get a chance.
Well, that's the thing though too, that we're that we have to figure out a crochet one. But I think most knitters do have a random plain knit pattern that they can pull out and work on. Whereas for crochet, if you're just going to do single crochet, you have to make it just for the challenge, not necessarily anything else.
Okay, stop.
Okay, let me count.
How do I stop this from doing this now?
The time to beat is Tabitha at 68 stitches per minute, which is pretty incredible.
No, I have 35. Didn't you say 30 something is about average?
You beat me.
Well, I split a stitch and I didn't go back to fix it.
Yeah. No, just keep going. 35 is, let's see. Marie and Liz were both at 35. So you beat Tina, Neil, Carrie, and Horror Amarada and Birdie.
So basically, all of the other people that either just learned to knit or hardly ever knit, and the only, regular knitter that low down the list. So,
well, we can. It's an ever expanding leaderboard. So,
oops, I put that on by mistake. Sorry.
So I counted twice. I'm 41.
Good job.
Solid 41.
Very respectable.
And I was shaking the whole time.
I know.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, let's see. So from the top, Tabitha is 68. I'm 59. Amy from Two Sisters is 57. Liz Clothier is 53. Devery's 47. Oh, DK is 37. And then Lynn is 36. So I guess I should could have brought that forward, but I didn't.
I'd love to try again sometime with fingering weight yarn and see if it's different.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. What did you have, worsted or something?
I had worsted weight,
Yeah, I think mine's a DK. So
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, we need to. I think we should do it all again with the guest. Get everyone on again.
And then I thought, like, wool, acrylic, does that make a difference? I mean, I have all these variables.
that's true.
Maybe we need to get one of the dyers, Holly or Chicken Lady, to send us all a little bit of yarn.
The same
All
yarn.
So it's the same with the same needles. They have to be either chow goo or whatever. They've got to be the same.
Yes. I'm game. Let's do it.
The thing though, because I don't know, like the fastest knitter in the world, she's from Shetland.
See, fingering weight.
Mhm.
Tabitha, you're so smart.
But yeah, I don't think she uses any super wash or slippery wool. I think they're pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, and what does she do? The one in the Shetlands, does she do that lever knitting? You know, where they have the under their arm and just they do it all with one needle, don't they? But on the other, you know, hard to explain.
I think so. I don't remember though. I know that I don't know if she does it for when she's timed, but she does do the one where it's like a leather pouch with holes in it, and you sort of
they stick the needle in
the hole against yourself.
I don't know what this means. Oh, is that chow goo? Is red commie needles chow goo? Is it?
Probably.
Yes. Oh, speaking of needles, I gave the Zings a try.
Okay.
You know, because I love the chow goo needles; they're my favourites. And but what I've found is that they're starting to catch a little bit, you know, on the join. So I thought, I'm going to try something else. So I saw, I think it was that Norman on Nimble Knitting, I think it's called, or Nimble Knits. He was talking about Zing. So I thought, I'll try them because they're quite, you know, reasonable. They're not very expensive. And the needles I love, but I hate the join. But the needles are great, you know. So if you, I've got the double pointed needles, and they're quite good.
Yeah, I've used the Zing double pointed. I like those ones.
Yeah, they're so smooth, aren't they? Apart from where the number of the needle, you know, 5 millimeter or 4 millimeter, it just kind of sticks a little bit there.
Right.
I love the Zing needles too. I have several pairs. Like, I think they're a really solid needle.
Somebody's put "and I throw." So is that DK watching in the? Or is that you, Anne?
Oh, that wasn't me.
This is getting so confusing.
So I'm not, yeah, so I'm having an issue seeing the chat because my internet is wacky. So well.
Oh, we probably missed quite a few things that I could have put on the screen. Actually, I was thinking Anne will say she wants that putting on the screen, but
here, but I only have it on my phone right now. So if I hit chat, you know, then I can't see you guys. And what if you're making faces at me?
Because that's what we do
all the time. But no, I'm excited. Okay, so I know that Stephanie went for them too, but I got Anna Knitter's Van Gogh sock yarn, and I am so excited, and I kind of want to do a summer of socks, but now I have to plan it all out because
is it opal yarn or is it hand dyed?
It is opal yarn, and it's one of those things. Okay, so I actually had never ordered from Anna before, but I remember back in the olden days that Opal Sock Yarn did this run of Harry Potter yarn where it was for one of the movies. It was a promotional thing, and if you look for that yarn now, it is stupid expensive. Like, it's ridiculous. So I'm like, what if the Van Gogh yarn is going to be the same thing? And like, oh, this is a lovely idea, I want some of that, and then it's gone, and then the price is through the roof, and like, no, I need all of it. This is my splurge. But
yeah, I love the Van Gogh yarn too. I think it's so pretty, and I like how Opal kind of, even though you see the picture of what the sock is going to look like on the side, it still kind of surprises you. Like, I feel like I'm still surprised by how it knits up. So
right, and I don't know how to present these well, but okay. So here is the Starry Night one, But the colors for this is the one cafe. Oh, hi. This is the one cafe one, and the colors for that are what I would have expected the Starry Night to be. That it's kind of more orangish. But yeah, I mean, the entire set, like there isn't a loser among them. Like sometimes where you're like, oh yeah, whatever, but like but yeah, like every single one of them is good. So yeah.
And the great thing about opal yarns as well is they all go with each other. Right. You know, you could mix and match those in a project and they would blend together.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing too, that I'm like, okay, I'm going to take these and I'm going to knit socks for myself because I love wild socks. It's like that. There's 8 of these, and like, okay, but if I was buying 8 pairs of socks, no one would be like, Anne, that's too many socks. Like, you know, trying to like talk myself into it. And then on the other hand, I'm like, but it'd be an amazing blanket. Like, no. Because I love making blankets. Sorry, again, these are, you don't have to make my screen big. But
the only thing that I wish with opal yarns, I don't know whether because opal yarns have not been in America, have they really? Hardly, not many people sell them, do they?
Sometimes yarn shops have them, but
right.
Yeah.
But I know I never used to buy them until recently. And is it, or what's she called? Bakery Bears. What's the lady on Bakery Bears called?
Kay.
Kay. She always talks about the old opal being nicer than what we get now and being plumper and a little bit nicer to knit with. So I always feel like I've missed out. You know, whatever they used before was somehow better.
Right.
I don't know.
And I kind of wonder too. Okay, so with all the Van Gogh yarn, I got 2 other skeins too, and it was one of the sparkle yarns, and then I had got this with it, and I really wanted. Sorry, I always feel so awkward when you make me full screen. No, but I had this. I have an idea. I'm not sure if it will happen, but I have an idea for Hanukkah socks. And I thought that this would be awesome to have this sparkly blue and gray with this. But I don't know if it shows up this way on screen, but this tracks slightly purple to me. It's a light gray. But again, I don't know if it's me or if it's not that it's a bad thing, but it's not quite what I was going for. And it says gray on the side. So
is it like a lilac? Is it a lilac sheen to it, or?
Yeah, that. And I know that I am the tiniest bit colorblind when it comes to light gray and purple. But yeah, to me, this is a little lavender like. And I don't know if it's that way to anyone else. And guess since I'm knitting the socks, I guess it doesn't actually matter if it is to anyone else because they're my socks anyways. If it looks purple to me,
they'd still go. They would still match.
Yeah, I don't
still work together.
There's anything terrible. But
I think I saw on Instagram somebody had bought a bunch of the light gray and had said that it looked violet or something to her. Okay. And she was going to, or maybe she said blue, but I remember they said a different color and that they were going to try to over dye it.
Okay.
I don't think it's just you. It might just be that color of gray is kind of the undertone is strange or something.
Right. And I mean, I love light purple as a color, but again, I was looking for something else. So anyways, so yeah, I have lots of sock planning to do. And also the whole thing with opal yarn, normally if I had a multicolored skein of yarn, I'd pull from both sides and do 2 at a time. You can't do that with opal yarn because they stripe in one direction only. So yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to have to be very, very good and just knit one sock at a time and keep going, or if I can like stack them and knit multiple socks at a time, but with different colors.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, since I've set for myself a ridiculous task, I might as well go about completing it in a stupid way.
I wonder whether that would help with second sock syndrome if you're knitting. So are you, as I understand what you just said, you're going to knit one sock in one color, another sock in another with another ball, and just keep doing that until you end up with a pair.
Right. That if you do 2 socks at a time, but it's like these 2 colors. So it would be knitting one sock out. Yeah. So
Yeah, so you wouldn't get second sock syndrome doing that, would you? Because you're going to have another color, so it's going to keep you interested. Or would
In
it? I
theory.
don't know.
or would it? That's the question. If I
It
did,
would also be easier to untangle them when they got tangled up.
that is true. That is true. But yeah, would I be?
Or can't you just wind the, you know, not skein them, but re-cake them up into 2 cakes and separate them?
I could.
Is that a lot of effort?
Be really annoying, but I could. I did that with I had a pair of, I had some sock yarn. It was oh, I'm missing her name. Cedar Hill Yarns. That she had a striped sock pattern thing.
So double second sock syndrome.
Yeah, it could be double second sock syndrome, depending on how
Hey, we've invented a new term. Let's patent it before they get it.
Jill, it's just a new problem.
Exactly.
New problems.
I thought this would be better. It's worse.
I don't know how people can do that 2 at a time thing on one knee. I just can't
Oh, I love it.
get my head around that at all.
I absolutely love it because I am the person who will be like, oh, I missed a repeat. Oh, well, at least it's the same on both ones that I've missed.
I
I have to be like, okay, if I don't rip it back and fix it, then I have to make a note of it and make sure with my second sock that if I do an extra row because I wasn't paying attention, then that's okay. Otherwise, and I'm like,
Do you do a heel flap though, or do you do short row heels?
for toe up short row heels.
Because I can't in my head see how you would end up doing the, you know, picking up the stitches again after you've done a heel flap if you've got 2 at a time on one set of needles.
Oh, I've done it before. It's fun.
So it is possible.
It is possible, yes. Is there music playing?
I can hear something. Is it wind? Hang on.
I mean, it might be wind for me because it is a blustery day out there. But
Oh, do you know what it is? It's the wind here. It's like bagpipes because our windows don't fit properly in the kitchen. So when the wind blows, it's like and it goes on forever. So that's it's like I'm deaf in this ear, you see. So when I've got my earphone in, I can't hear anything. So and I could just hear it slightly. Yeah, sorry everybody, you'll have to put up with that horrible noise.
I thought maybe Holly's kids were like practicing trumpet or something.
No, I am blissfully alone in my house right now. We had our homeschool group today, and they're still all there.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh.
there we go. It was Senko Farm who said that it was light purple. Like finally,
Oh,
it was.
I
Her.
knew I saw that. Oh yes. Okay.
Okay, at least if we're crazy, we're crazy together.
We're crazy together.
Oh, someone said they thought that sound was like a string instrument.
Well, I will say when kids are learning the violin for the first time, it is not a pretty sound.
Ooh, like tortured cats.
It's terrible.
There's nothing like a elementary school band concert. And you're like, yay! Wow. Good for you, kids.
Yes.
Stephanie, do you dye yarn as well?
I don't do anything.
You spin though, don't you? Do you
I
spin?
do spin, yeah.
I knew you did something else, but I thought it was dyeing yarn. But
yes, I do spin. I've been spinning since probably 2015. And I'm not a prolific spinner because I mostly spin when it's warm because it's not stuff sitting on your lap like with knitting. Mm-hmm. So in the summer in Texas, the spinning comes out and I just want to spin all the things. And then I try to knit the stuff in the winter. But I do enjoy spinning, but I don't dye. I have a nice little side story. I went to the Iowa State Fair and I found a sheep and I'd always played with the idea because we can have sheep on our property, like the city code, we could have a few. And so I was like, well, let me buy a fleece and see if I actually want to have sheep and deal with fleece before I buy sheep. So I bought a fleece, a very nice fleece. I met the sheep. I was so in love. It even had a name, and I got a picture with it. And I hate cleaning fleece. Like, it's the worst. And I have this horrible cow from what I had cleaned, not enough, and then spun, and it's like so lanolin-y still, and like sticky around your neck, and so thick and horrible. And I ended up sending the rest of the fleece. I mean, this was a huge fleece, to a friend, and she paid to have it professionally cleaned, and then she kept half and I got half. So I bought the fleece, she paid for the cleaning, and then we split it. So it ended up working out well, but it made me decide I don't need to be a sheep farmer because I don't want to clean fleece. And
does it smell? I mean, I know wool smells, but does it smell bad?
Excuse me. No, I'm sorry. I would not say that it smelled bad. It does smell sheepy. And I mean, when I'm there with the sheep, I love that smell. Like, I want to hug the sheep, and like, they're lovely. Like, they're so cute. This one was huge. Like, this was like a bear sheep that I bought the fleece off of. But it didn't stink or anything, but it did have lots of like stuff in it, even though it was like a really well cared for fleece that had been cut, like they'd covered the sheep to keep it from getting dirty, and just so much lanolin. Like, you don't realize how waterproof these sheep are. They have so much lanolin in their fleeces. You really have to scour them. And I was so afraid to like really scour it because I didn't want to felt it.
Right.
So I really don't understand the whole cleaning process.
And is the lanolin like oil? Is it very oily?
It's like Vaseline. Like, it's
Wow.
like yes,
Greasy.
it's super greasy. And even the cow, I still have. Maybe I'll send it to you as a gift, Neil. Wear it out in the rain.
It doubles as beard oil. It's great.
Yeah. It's like, but it's just it's so like sticky feeling still from the lanolin, because I
when you wash it, though, here's a question, because one of the things I learned, I mean, I'm sure other people know this, but say if you're messing with anything oily, like a car engine or whatever, is that when you want to wash your hands after, is to put the soap on before you wet your hands. So I just wondered if that is how you could get the lanolin out better, by putting whatever the detergent is first before it gets wet.
I mean, in my teenage years, I too did a fleece. And I poured on the Dawn dish soap. I was not sparing, and yeah, it was still greasy in the end. I'm sure if I were to do it more times, but no, it was. I mean, imagine that someone pre-poured the oil on, or like lotion on something. Like, there's lotion in the wool all the time. It's like those. I don't know if anyone else likes the lotion Kleenexes. I hate them because they're too greasy. It's that, but for yarn.
Well, and so we have, I guess, what's considered like a sheep dog, because our dog is part Pyrenees, part Border Collie Lab. He's a mutt. We got him from the pound, but he has a Pyrenees coat, and my kids brush him, and like, you get basically like dog wool. And they're trying to convince me to spin the dog, like spin. But I just keep imagining, like, anytime you would wash whatever you made out of that it would smell like wet dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to make something with the cat fur, because what I'd like to do is knit some cat toys with it. So, because I've heard somewhere that if you mix the fur up and that they smell that, like all of the fur mixed together, that they'll get on better because they all hate each other.
Oh.
So I was thinking if there was like little knitted mice, you know, made out of their own fur, they might all start to love each other. I don't know. It's a dream.
Or even further aggression. Like it
Oh
smells like
God, yeah.
I hate it.
I have no idea. I have never heard that before. So I'm not in a hurry to make anything out of our animals' byproducts.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a question about spin. Oh, sorry, Holly, were you saying something?
No.
No, I've got a question about spinning yarn, and it's a bit like how long is a piece of string question. But how much money can you save by spinning roving as opposed to buying the yarn already spun?
So, okay, what's the going rate for a hank of hand-dyed sock yarn?
Oh, in American, is it about $27? Would you say?
Yeah, I was
Is
thinking
that
like
about right?
26 and 28, maybe
Mhm.
27.
Yeah.
Well, you can get 4 ounces of wool, hand dyed, like already dyed, for $20, depending on where you buy it. So, I mean, it could be roughly like a 25 to 30% savings. And in one of my spinning chat groups that I'm in, the thing is like you get double the craft time with the product. So like you get all the time it takes to dream up what am I going to spin out of it, what do I want to knit out of it, and then you do all the spinning, you do all the plying, and then you get to knit it. So you get like more hours of enjoyment from that one payment, you know.
I guess it would
Yeah.
depend if you were more of a process
Yeah.
crafter.
If you're a product person and you just want to get the thing, like it
Mhm.
probably doesn't matter to you. But if you are like I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it, it gets you more hours with that product. So, and that's one reason I like buying my kids books instead of like a toy, because I feel like they spend so long reading a book that they're getting lots of hours out of a small investment of like enjoyment time. And sometimes with a toy, you know, they break them, they're gone.
I still have to do that. I still have to get over that thing of, frogging a project is a good
Oh.
thing because you get to knit it again. You get to knit the wool again. But I still
And
don't
that
like
gets
doing
into
it.
the territory of it's like, oh well, chop your own wood, warm yourself twice. Ha ha ha. Yeah, no. Absolutely.
No. Well, Neil, I've actually sold half-finished objects at my garage sales before.
Wow.
Because I'll work on something and then decide I hate it, and I like hate the yarn, or I don't want the product anymore, and it's not worth it for me to rip it all out. And I'll just put it in the garage sale, and somebody will buy it to like donate to a nursing home or something.
This is quite funny when you were saying about, you get twice the enjoyment with the yarn and everything. It's just a posh way of saying it takes longer.
Yeah. I don't know. I think about, so from working in bookkeeping and accounting, like everything is like cost benefit analysis, like all the things. So it's how my brain works.
And Holly, a thing I like to ask all dyers is, do you like buying other dyers' yarn, or do you just prefer to have your own?
That's a really good question. I'm still pretty new at dyeing, and so I do still enjoy buying other people's yarn, but probably not as much, not as often. But it's kind of a nice break. Like if you're a cook and you eat, at a restaurant, it's like a break. And but also there are so many dyers who dye just differently than I do. They do a different, something I would never do, or something I don't know how to do, like self-striping or something. So yes, I do still enjoy using other people's yarn.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to ask you as well is, are you, because I think there are different types of dyers, like you were saying. Some dyers, because I do a bit, just for me, I would never dream of selling it ever, but I just throw stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea before I'm doing it what it might turn out like. But then there are other dyers that have an inspiration photo, for example, and they
Mm-hmm.
match the colors. I think, how the hell do they match those colors based on what they've bought? You know, because it's not like you can. I don't know how they do that. So, are you more like that, or are you more the other way, where you throw things in and just hope for the best?
Well, I've done both. I don't always have an inspiration photo, but like I have done some dyeing from book covers. Last summer, I did a bunch of Nancy Drew book covers. And so there's a little bit of like, you have to try things out and just see what you get out of it. But I think if you know your dyes, you kind of know, like, if I do this dye really lightly, it's going to be this color. And if I do it really strong, it's going to be this color. And you just kind of get a feel for it after a while. But there have been times when I'm doing a collection and I just like need another color that I'll just kind of throw it in and see what happens. That's actually what I did with that yarn you bought. And yeah, I was just like, I need another color and I want it to be kind of crazy. And so I just stuck a bunch of stuff in and that's what came out.
Yeah.
I'll make you big again. There you go.
Oh, sorry, I'm surprised every time. I really shouldn't be. So pretty. Here.
Nice.
Let me squidge it out of its little wrapper. There we go. But yeah, that is the main skein, which is quite lovely.
Oh.
And this purple with it, which is, I love that color. And now that I have everything stacked everywhere, because I put a picture of this on Instagram with, I can't find it now, with the Driftwood Fiber or Driftwood Farms yarn. Because I think these are amazing together, except they cannot be like this. This is fingering. This is DK. Like, this is a bizarre, bright color value. This is lovely and gentle. And I'm like, but I like them together still. So
that's funny.
Anyways.
Oh, we've had a question for you, Holly, from Tabitha. Do you do custom orders for a previous sock set?
Oh, well, I could maybe. I always feel like I never write anything down. I wish that I did. I wish I was a different person, but so I could definitely try to recreate that for you, Tabitha, if you wanted me to. But it would be an attempt. So
probably
sure.
be slightly different. Yeah.
It might
one thing I've been sort of looking at, and I don't know whether I'm going down, I don't know, a dead end, but on computers where it shows you what a color is and it gives you a number. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that? Every color has a number, right, doesn't it? And is it based on the red, green, blue thing? Mm-hmm. Like, so the number is how much of it is red, how much of it is blue, how much of it is yellow, I think. Right. And I just wondered if there's any way of translating that into dyeing yarn. In terms of percentages. Do you get where I'm going with this?
Yeah, maybe.
I know a guy.
Oh, right.
I have heard this before, and it kind of went right over my head, but I'll connect you.
Right. Because I just think if there's a method to it, if it does work with percentages, you potentially could get your absolute spot on colors by just using the computer to find out what the ratios would be. But I don't know whether that is right or not, though.
Well, I guess it would depend on your dyes. You'd have to know, like, this dye, because some reds are like bluish and some reds are more orangey. You know what I mean? You'd have to really know.
And you'd have to start with the because it's not, when the computer doesn't use true primary colors, does it? It uses blue and yellow. But I think the red is like it's more magenta. Like magenta, isn't it? That's right. So I think if you could get those three colors the same as what the computer would start with,
right?
But obviously you can't do the light part of it the same because you're just using less. Whereas I don't know whether they add white to things to make them lighter on the computer.
I don't know.
And not to mention that, if the dyes are this way, but the yarn may not take it up the same way.
That's true too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am not a dyer in any respect.
These are things that keep me awake at night. Random things I think about. So I thought we'd lost you then, Stephanie. I thought, oh, she's gone. She's had enough.
I had to go hack up a lung, so
Oh no.
I'm still
Oh,
recovering from like 5 days of coughing.
Oh no.
So it's just one of those things. So
what's the weather like in Texas today? Is it really hot? Always hot, surely.
Yes, it's hot.
And where are you, Holly? Which state are you in?
In Colorado. And we
Which
are
is
just
always
now,
hot.
well, no, it's starting to get warm though. It's about 75 today, I think. We might actually hit 80 today, which is one of our very first warm days.
And I'm where are you still in North Dakota? No.
South
Dakota.
No, but we've had a couple of really lovely warm days, like no heat on, window open, sun is shining, snow is actually melting. It's amazing.
Wow.
Like it's like, oh wait, winter. Can it actually be over? It's not really over. I know it's a lie, but give me a little bit of hope. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 70 out right now, so it's not like super hot. But we usually have like a few weeks when we don't need heat and we don't need air. And like every spring and fall, I'm like, how many weeks are we going to get where we can just like live and not have to pump heating and pump air the whole time? So it's never long enough.
Somebody else in Colorado? Well, it's been raining for 2 days here, non-stop.
Ooh.
And about you know how they like to do the doom and gloom with the weather. It's the worst rain we've ever had since records began. The usual thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I remember that last year as well. Don't say April showers for nothing. Sorry, Anne, go on.
No, just that it's the worst it's ever been. Like last year. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. We've only got 10 years left. Again.
Well,
so,
I was about to say, unless Neil, you had something, but we
No,
are
no,
coming up on the 2-hour mark.
So, shall we wrap it up then? Unless anyone's got anything else to add?
Anything you want to declare?
The Dalai Lama, dodgy as hell. That's all I want to say. Allegedly.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that's creepy. I mean, there's been kind of like little whispers of him being creepy before, but it's like, ugh. Anyways.
Well, I've just watched, I'll quickly say this. Tabitha got me to watch Wild Wild Country. I don't know whether you've seen it. And I didn't want to watch it because I thought, oh, I'm not going to find this interesting. Wow. It was fascinating. So it was about Oregon, and it was, I've forgotten what they're called now. Tabitha, help me out if you're still there. Tell me what they were called. They were like a cult, and it was an Indian guy that was running the cult. And it's like all these leaders, religious leaders, I just find them really kind of creepy now. You know, there's just something, I don't know, odd about them. But, she's going to get, I've never seen Tiger King either. She wants me to watch that too.
That's what I was saying earlier. Not really saying earlier, but, you know, with Adela, you know, getting all this money. Okay, so I've never seen Tiger King, but what I learned was the big revelation from Tiger King is that you can buy a real live tiger for like $3,000. And I was like, wow, really? That's so cheap. Think of how many tigers $50,000. I could have tigers. I mean, I'm sure there'd be other expenses, but come on, we could get something going.
Well, I'm with Anne. I've never seen it either. Did you two watch it? Did Holly and Stephanie watch it?
No.
None of us did. Yay!
The Tiger King free zone, luckily.
Are we the only 4 people in the world that haven't seen it? Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to know, Neil, what do the British people think of Clarkston Farm? That, like the Jeremy Clarkston who was on the car racing show, and then he came out with a farm show, and it had took place during COVID of him trying to run a farm in England.
I have to admit, never seen it. And never talking about it either, so I can't answer that. I
man.
but he's generally quite liked, especially by because of doing the Top Gear.
Yes,
presume
Top
you got
Gear.
that as
That's
well.
the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, my husband made me watch Top Gear, and I like pastoral English shows where it's like, oh, look at my beautiful house on the countryside. And so when he came out with the like, I'm buying a little farm on the countryside, I was like, yes, let's watch this together.
Well, whatever you do, don't come to Salford where I live. You'll be really disappointed. There's no countryside here.
I adore Clarkson Farm. I thought it's hilarious. He needs to make
I've
more
never seen it.
episodes. I
Never
love
seen
it.
it.
He does. There's a lot of like British humor is definitely more vulgar than
Yeah.
and I'm just not a lot of the time. But he's hilarious. I love him. I would be his friend.
Oh yeah, he's they've tried to cancel him quite a few times, but he is too popular amongst even the liberals like him. Most
Right.
liberals do. But they hate him. It's hard to explain. He's arrogant. He's what we would call bullshit. I don't know if that's a word you would use, but he's funny, and you can get away with it if you're funny.
Right. It's one of those, I don't know, that you have a lot of these sort of conservative or conservative-ish media figures where you have, Jeremy Clarkson, or you could even look at like Mike Rowe in America, or, I mean, you could almost put Rush Limbaugh or even Donald Trump in that category where you have these very bombastic yet sort of man of the people sort of characters. And I mean, on the lesser end with like Mike Rowe and Jeremy Clarkson, sometimes I just sit there like, it takes a lot of education to be, quote, man of the people. Like, they're not dumb. They're not, I mean, they might be a little
Jeremy Clarkson's very intelligent. He is actually very intelligent.
Even with him joking all the time about, that yes, car must go faster, or, jokes like that, and now it's on fire, and, silly stuff like that of why are you being an idiot, Jeremy? Or I have seen The Farm Show. I haven't seen all of season 2 yet, but I really enjoy it. But yeah, him messing up the farm equipment because he doesn't know what's going on, and the young kid who has never heard of Noah's Ark. They're like, why don't you know about farm equipment? And Jeremy Clarkson's like, you haven't heard of Noah's Ark? What's your problem?
Well, you definitely have to watch the Badger episode if you haven't gotten there yet. So funny. And I agree. He's kind of like a man of the people, and I think we need more of that. Like, I think we need more things that appeal across the board.
Right. And it is a very educational show in that, I mean, in teaching people who are not in farming more about farming, but also just all of the crap regulations you have to go through. And just so people are aware, it's like, why aren't we getting rid of these? I haven't finished the Badger episode. It's one of those things where watching it and I paused at the beginning, but it starts with the Badgers come in, they have tuberculosis and it will kill the cows, but we cannot kill them. It was something like 40,000 pounds if you destroy their little tunnels, or you're facing jail time if you kill them. And
the badgers will infect your herd, and then you have to kill your herd if they're infected. And then, but you can't keep the badgers out. You can't mess with their poles, like you said. You can't kill them.
Right. You can't protect your own property, which is also coincidentally part of the food supply for the entire island.
Right.
You have to just let these badgers do whatever they want and breed and get disease. The population is.
But that's a very British thing anyway, not being able to protect your own property, full stop. If someone breaks into your home, I mean, you guys will think this is crazy, but if they break into your home and you fight them in any way, you will be charged for being the aggressive one. You have to be able to say that they had a weapon before you could use a weapon against them. So, and often you wouldn't even know whether they've got a weapon or not. If they wake you up in the middle of the night with a balaclava on and whatever, you don't know, do you? But because I believe in most states there, you could actually shoot someone, couldn't you, if they came into your home? Not all states, but I know a lot of states.
Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people who have signs in their houses that say we don't call 911 and they have a gun.
Well, my neighbor has one.
Yeah.
It's like on the other side where people are like, this is a gun-free zone. I'm like, oh no.
I know, it's like an
It's just
invitation.
advertising, please rob me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny because we watch like, you know, those true TV shows. I don't know what you have, whether you have them with the police and they're arresting, you know, people stealing stuff or whatever. And the way the police have to treat them, and it is unbelievable because they are like attacking the police and swearing at the police and whatever. And the police have to treat them like they're delicate little wallflowers, you know, and they can't say what they want to say to them. And it's just crazy. It's mad. I feel so sorry. I feel sorry for our police, but then it annoys me because why isn't somebody standing up and saying, no, we should be able to be heavier handed, you know?
Mhm.
That's why they arrest dolls now. They can't talk back.
Oh, God. Did you hear about the golly thing in the pub? Did you hear about that?
A little bit.
Yeah, so some pub, don't know where it is actually, but they had a load of gollies behind the bar. And somebody complained and the police raided them and confiscated them. I don't know whether the owner was arrested or not. I haven't really looked into it. But apparently, I think it's a she. The landlady was a she. She's put another one up and put a sign on the door saying, we have gollies in the pub. And if you're offended by them, don't come in. It's like, but people are going mad about it. People are going crazy saying, you know, it's really like as if she's murdered someone. You know, and I just think, really, does it? I don't know.
And having,
I bet it. So go on.
No, and having, you know, an antique doll in your pub is not allowed.
Well, and I don't even know what do those dolls represent?
Well, I don't know where they originate, but the way I knew them was because they were characters in Enid Blyton books, you know, Noddy and Big Ears. But whether that was where they originated, I don't know. So people, usually white liberals, say that they're like a grotesque caricature of black people. But I have known over the years at least 3 black people that collect them. So I think it's another one of those things where it's white people that are offended by it, and most black people either don't care or collect them and like them or whatever. You know, I don't think there are many, unless there's like, you know, the types that we've seen in the knitting world. There's a few of them, isn't there? I don't think many of them care.
I was about to say that Murray Buskey, that was part of, you know, Skeins getting canceled, was that somebody had a knitting project and it was next to one of these dolls in a picture or something along those lines.
That wasn't even her, was it? It was just somebody in that knitting group, and she got blamed for that.
Yeah, and you were on a radio show too. I haven't heard it yet.
Oh yes, it was really good fun actually. But what I've noticed about myself, I don't know whether you guys do this with yourself, but when you see yourself doing these podcasts, I don't notice so much. But hearing myself on a radio, because I listened back to it because I was really worried because I thought I'd said something like really stupid, you know, halfway through. But when I heard it back, it was like, no, it's not so bad. It was all right. But I noticed the and and then this and then and it's like I don't know why I do it.
No, I noticed that in myself too.
Oh, yeah, me too. We all do it.
I have to edit like 100 of them out of my podcasts every time.
See, I do lives now because you don't have to do any editing then, but then the and are in.
They're in, but you never have to look back at them again. You can be like, it's out there. I'm not looking.
Right.
But Marie is absolutely flawless. But she apparently she used to be a radio presenter back in, you know, her early years, which I didn't know, and doesn't make any verbal tics or mistakes at all.
Wow.
And it's like, wish I was like that. But yeah, it was a good interview. It was just about like a bit of a knitting wars recap, really. So there won't be anything that you don't already know, but it's worth listening to because I'm in it.
That's right.
Sorry, Anne, go on. You just said something then.
No, nothing. But we are past our 2-hour mark. So if y'all want to reiterate, where you can be found in your podcasts and stuff, go ahead.
Oh, Stephanie, you go ahead.
Well, I will be podcasting again after I get over this cough. And I'm at Texas Peach Knits on Instagram and on YouTube. And I mostly talk just like knitting and life and that kind of thing. So
Awesome.
Okay, and I'm Mystery Mouse Knitting on YouTube and Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. on Etsy. And I also mostly talk about knitting, and I do a lot of talking about books and stuff like that, mostly old books. So.
And Neil, your magazine is out or coming out soon?
Yeah, well, it's ready, so I just need to check it one last time, and it should be out on Friday. So, and that's you'll find it at Blocked Mag on Instagram, and if you go to my link tree under there, you'll find it there. All the issues will be listed there as well.
Right. Awesome. And of course, we are Politically Incorrect Knitters. You can be found here if you're watching us on YouTube. We're also on Rumble. So yeah, check us out.
All right. So are we ending? Are we finished?
Right,
bye everyone.
It is like, oh, okay. Normally she's off. All right. See you guys.